The holy month of Ramadan is a month of fasting during which physically able Muslims do not eat or drink from the first sign of dawn until sunset. It is intended to teach Muslims patience and humility. I talked with Heraa Arshad, a student at the University of Buffalo, and Amer Shamaa, a recent graduate at the University at Buffalo, about their experiences as young Muslims, the holy month of Ramadan, and the upcoming walk and tent of Abraham. Generally talk about Ramadan, but we want to have some other discussion before we get to that topic. Let me ask you, Amer, are you initially from Western New York?
Yeah, born and raised here. My parents immigrated from Palestine.
And you came here, your parents came, so you're second generation.
Second generation.
And where did you go to school?
I went to University of Buffalo.
And you're about to go back to school again.
Yeah, I'm looking into a certificate program at Erie Community College.
What kind of certificate?
CNC machining, computer numeric control.
Something that is needed.
Yeah, in demand.
That's a pretty good option now. And Heraa, you are born and raised here in Western New York?
I wasn't born here, but I definitely was raised. We moved here when I was 5.
When you were 5?
Yeah. I'm also second generation. My parents immigrated from Pakistan in the 90s.
And you went to school in Williamsville, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I graduated from Williamsville North High. I'm going to UB now studying psychology.
And you're at UB.
Mm-hmm.
Studying psychology, yeah. But you have a goal beyond that.
Mm-hmm. I do hope to go to optometry school someday.
That surprised me, thinking of psychology.
Yeah.
So you'll be prepared to deal with people that are anxious about having their eyes worked on, right? What are some of your interests?
Well, I like to go to the gym a lot. I like to lift weights, and I play basketball a lot too.
You do?
Yeah.
And I think you said you like interreligious.
Oh, yeah. Impact has brought me to different places of worship, including a number of churches.
And that, what interests do you have special?
I love to read. I love to write, specifically poetry. I also love listening to music and hanging out with my friends.
And you're good with social media.
Mm-hmm. I manage the social media pages for MPAC. They're Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Well, Amer, maybe you can tell us a little bit. What is Impact?
Well, that's a good question. First and foremost, they're an advocacy program. And like I said, they do interfaith. And more recently, they've been looking to combat Islamophobia.
So it's the Muslim Public Affairs Council.
Correct.
Of Western New York.
Yeah.
And so what do they mean by public affairs?
Public affairs? Well, we do a lot of media stuff. And we work with legal teams, and we work with local congressmen and representatives too.
So what do you do with media with Impact?
Right, so whenever we have events going on or are working with other organizations to plan events, I usually get the word out there about those, when, where they're going to be. And after those events, I like to post pictures just to show people what happened there and how our turnout was.
Well, I'm sure that you have friends that are from many different religions as well, particularly growing up in the Williamsville school. I don't know if any of your friends ever ask you about Islam. What do you say to some of your good friends about, as you as a Muslim, what you might believe and some of your practices?
Yeah, so most of the time when people ask, I really like to bring up the fact that really at the end of the day, we're all more alike than we are different. A lot of our practices a lot of our Islamic practices, fasting, giving charity, praying, these aren't at all unique to Islam at all. They're concepts that are practiced in every religion. One example that I really like to bring up is about my hijab, my headscarf. It's not at all a practice that's unique to Islam on its own. There's been examples of veiling or donning headscarves in Judaism, Christianity, and a lot of Orthodox sects of both. It's been said that Mary herself did wear a headscarf in her time. So,
Now, have you had people make comments to you about wearing a headscarf, hijab?
Not. I wouldn't say very like frequently. It's not like an everyday occurrence at all. Like I'm really blessed to live in a really good place and go to a really diverse school, but there are certain microaggressions that like, all Muslims experience in their lives. I really can't think of any like particular incident that I've ever faced. But I do get a lot of questions, thankfully. And I never see those as coming from a bad place. I always just try to educate people the best I can.
So you try to take the question and take it as, we call it a real question.
Yeah,
And something
it's a
they're
learning
curious
experience.
about. Well, if they say, oh, I don't understand, your worship, how do you explain it?
So Islam essentially means peaceful submission to God at the end of the day. And when I'm explaining, how we worship and our practices, I do like to bring that up, that at the end of the day, it's just us submitting ourselves to God in, our own special way as Muslims.
And this is a particular time of the year. Here we are in the month of May, that in which that we're looking at Ramadan, and that in fact the midst. What is Ramadan?
So it's a whole month of, the main thing is fasting from dawn to sunrise, along with abstaining from eating and drinking. We also, avoid a lot of like sinful speech and other behaviors. And really the best thing about Ramadan is it's a month of spiritual reflection and self-improvement. So we all are striving to feel more at peace with ourselves and more in touch with God. We attend nightly prayers, read more Quran during the day, and overall it's just very humbling and requires a lot of discipline, but it's enjoyable and it brings out a
Amer,
lot.
what does Ramadan mean to you?
Well, Ramadan, we first fast so we could be conscious of God. And we also fast so we could have a feeling for those in poverty. And we fast so we could feel empathy toward them.
Well, I think it's probably not as bad as it was a year or two ago. But how you manage the fast, particularly not drinking, on very long and very hot days?
Well, I wake up early in the morning, and I'm kind of lazy. I just have a big cereal, and I drink a lot of fluids, because where I work gets hot sometimes.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you get through the day then?
You just try not to think about it. And personally, I read a lot of Quran.
And well, some have said, the hardest part is the beginning, the first several days. Is that your experience?
Yeah, it's just
and then it gets easier. It gets more routine.
Yeah, it's just all in the mindset. Once you get a couple days in, then you're not really as hungry as before.
And how do you make it through a long day of classes? You begin to fade during some of the time?
I would also say that I drink a ton of water when I wake up for breakfast, so I don't feel as thirsty during the day. Besides that, just keeping myself busy. Honestly, going to class is better than being at home and not doing anything. And, then I feel it more when I'm not keeping myself busy and I have to actually count down the hours. But, I just go about my normal day, try not to think about it too much.
Well, talk about breaking the fast at the end of each day. Do you always go to a community gathering, or you sometimes do that just at home?
On the weekends, I usually, go eat with friends or at the mosque for a community thing. The rest of the week, it's just one huge feast every night. So,
yeah, I was reading one person was writing and say every Muslim gains weight during Ramadan.
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you get so much to eat and friendship and everything else. Do you get enough sleep during the time?
Oh,
I
not
wouldn't
really.
say so, no.
It's tough because there's night prayers as well, and they go until like 11:30 at night. So
Right.
it's really tough.
And then if you get up to eat
gotta wake up.
breakfast and drink before the day starts, before sunup.
Yeah.
So Ramadan in that way is a bit of a challenge. Every year, the Muslim Public Affairs Council sponsors the Walk in Tent of Abraham. What are those two events?
Well, the walk is basically a 4.5-mile walk. It starts at North Presbyterian Church. And
In
has sev-
Williamsville.
Williamsville, yeah, on North Forest. And it has several stops in between. They end at the Muslim Community Center. They ask for you to bring a non-perishable food item, and there's donations as well accepted. And after, they have a beautiful dinner after.
What can you add?
So I don't usually go participate in the walk because I'm, behind the scenes setting up things. But one of the best parts I think is that at the end of the night, all of us Muslims, Jews, and Christians get to share a really good meal together and,
Yeah,
companionship.
the uniqueness is it's inviting the whole community
Yeah.
to come and participate.
We always get like a great turnout too, so it's really nice to see.
And collect food.
Yeah. It all goes to a good cause, the Food Bank of Western New York.
Now, how is that, the collection of food, part of Ramadan?
So the month's a big part of the month is also about giving back, experiencing what the less fortunate feel, who it's not just a month for them; it's all year having to go hungry. So I think the food donations play a big part in giving back eventually to the community.
And I think, as you said early, it's kind of also that sense of experiencing, wearing, during Ramadan, you experience some sense of hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And giving food, identifying with those who hunger is their daily life.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you, Heraa Arshad and Amer Shamaa, for joining us, talking about Ramadan, but a little bit sharing of your life and what it means to be Muslim here in Western New York. Thank you for joining us.